I got a lot of tabs, but unfortunately no holder, and rather than buy one, I want to try to make my own. And I want to use a coupler nut and 2 bolts from both sides. And all I need to do to make this work is to cut a small notch in the coupler nut where the ends of the tabs can fit into, and the 2 bolts then press against the end of the tab and make it usable.
I put it in the vise and marked the middle. Then with the biggest tab I have the outer 2 edges. Next, cutting along these marks. You have to be careful not to cut into the jaws, because normally they are hardened and would dull the hacksaw blade. Then to actually remove material, I cut at an angle. And then I cleaned and expanded the slot with a file.
I filed it about this deep, so my biggest tab fits there easily without interference at all. Now the thing is basically already finished. I could use it like this. But there are some improvements that I can make so I can use it more easily. So first of all, the ends of the bolts press against this flat part of the tab. But the problem is the ends of bolts are never really flat themselves. So first I'm gonna flatten them out a little bit.
To help me guide the bolts, I made this block with a V-groove.
Now that's a little bit better already. It also would be easier if I just have to turn one of the bolts. So I'm gonna lock one with another nut onto the coupling nut. Now last thing I want to do, it's a little bit uncomfortable to turn these hex heads by hand. So I'm gonna make 2 little knobs that go on both ends, and that should make it pretty comfortable to turn them.
If you would like to have these knob templates, I put a link with some of my designs in the description. I used a really thin blade in the scroll saw to cut them. And thanks to that thin blade, there was no sanding required. Next, drilling a hole big enough for the bolt head and all the way through with a smaller drill bit. It was also a little bit too thick.
I rounded over all the edges and also put on a single coat of spray lacquer, and now I can punch in the bolts.
And now it's ready to use.
What's also cool about it is that I can use it like this, or I can use it sideways. And so I'm able to use the centering notch in the back of the tab.
And a little demonstration. Unfortunately, I didn't have a piece of metal to demonstrate it on, but the procedure is almost the same.
And it also doesn't take up a lot of space. Just unscrew one of them and I can store it in the same box where all my tabs are.